In this part of the lecture, we will talk about mean, variance, and standard deviation of binomial distribution. Before we get there, let's discuss what are the conditions that are to be satisfied for a distribution to be binomial distribution. Binomial distribution is a type of distribution that occurs when the following conditions are met. You see, the first three conditions are the same as geometric distribution. They are each trial has only two outcomes. This is condition 1. And the outcomes are success and failures. Okay. Condition 2 states that the trials are independent. That means the outcome of one experiment does not influence the outcome of any other experiment. Condition 3 states that the probability of the outcomes does not change, which means the probability of success and failure is fixed for each of the trials. Now the condition 4 is new and different for binomial distribution, that states that the number of trials n is fixed, which means the total number of experiments that we are going to perform is predetermined in case of binomial distribution. Condition 5, the variable of interest is the total number of successful trials are among n trials. Okay, so in case of geometric distribution, we were interested in the total number of experiments required for one success. In case of binomial distribution, we are interested in the number of successful trials that can be 1, 2, 3, 4, any number that is less or equals to n and greater or equals to 0. Let's talk about the notation of binomial distribution. You see the left hand side of the formula. It states that if there are n number of trials and the probability of success in a single trial is p, then what is the probability that exactly X experiment among them will be successful? The right hand side is something that we've already discussed in our previous segments of the lecture. You see, the number of ways to choose any X trials from n is NCX, then the probability of success in all X of them will be p to the power X, then the failure 1 minus p to the power n minus X for X equals to any integer from 0 to n. And for any other values of X, the probability will be 0. Let's go and check what are the expectation or the mean, variance, and standard deviation of binomial distribution. The mean for a binomial random variable is NP. Okay, so where n is the total number of experiments and p is the probability of success in a single experiment. The variance is np times 1 minus p. So variance of a binomial random variable is the product of the total number of experiments and the probability of success in a single experiment and the probability of failure in a single experiment, which can also be written as npq. Standard deviation. Standard deviation is simply the square root of the variance. Therefore, the standard deviation is root over np times 1 minus p. Let's see a problem and apply the formula described before. The probability that a student from BRAC takes STA201 equals to 0.25. Now 30 students are randomly chosen from the university. Question A asks you to find the probability that exactly 8 students out of the 30 took STA201. Let's solve this problem. The probability for a student to take STA201 is 0.25. That means P equals 0.25. Number of students we are considering here is 30, and the number of success R equals to 8, because we want exactly 8 students out of the 30 to take STA201. Now using the formula, probability will be right? Simple. 0.1593 is the answer for our question number A. Let's move on to question B. It asks you to find the probability that fewer than 5 students out of the 30 took STA201. So how to express that using binomial distribution function? We see that X can be 0, 1, 2, 3, and 4. For all 5 of these cases, we have to determine the binomial distribution function and then add all of them. Okay, so the probability here will be equivalent to right? Now putting the values of x in the function, we get 0.0979. So this is the probability that the number of students who take STA201 from the 30 is fewer than 5. Let's move on to question number C. Question C asks you to calculate the mean and standard deviation of this binomial distribution. So we know that the mean is denoted by lambda. Now NP equals to 30 into 0.25, which becomes 7.5. So this is the mean. That means on an average, we will find 7.5 students among every 30 students taking STA201. Now the variance equals NP into 1 minus P. .625. Now the standard deviation will simply be the square root of 5.625. This is 2.372. So this is the solution of question C. Hope you understood it.